Hey folks, welcome into this edition of our NFL preseason profile. Taking a look at the Jaguars now. Andrew Norwell, big time addition there. Donte Moncrief comes on over, and they got ASJ, Austin Seferian-Jenkins. Meanwhile, Taven Bryan will help bolster that front line there. The first round selection for Jacksonville this past draft. But I could talk about Andrew Norwell all day long, and I think I might the rest of this video because he is one of the elite guards in the National Football League. I'll talk more about him in a matter of moments, but first, how about those key losses? Allen Robinson moves on, Allen Hurns is no more too, and then Aaron Colvin is actually still in that division, the AFC South, now a member of the Houston Texans. Overall offseason grade of B. The Jacksonville Jaguars are really solid in terms of their depth chart. They don't have a lot of competition for training camp. They're really set in many regards, and so it's actually really hard to get a good grade when your roster is so solid to begin with, but I'm giving Jacksonville a B because, well, first of all, it's a little inflated due to the addition of Andrew Norwell, but I think Moncrief could emerge as a top 25 receiver in the National Football League. I just think he needs an opportunity. Maybe Jacksonville provides that. So offseason grade of B for me with the Jaguars coming off a first place finish in the AFC South. So the preseason, of course, is upon us as well. Let's take a look at that Week 3 dress rehearsal game against the Atlanta Falcons. And some key questions that I am wondering here. Will the wide receiver core really emerge? Or perhaps will one player in particular emerge? Because when I look at the depth chart at wideout for Jacksonville, it's the ultimate wide receiver number 2 depth chart. D.D. Westbrook, and you got Shark as well, and Moncrief. The list goes on. Who's going to emerge against Atlanta? And then how will the offensive line progress with Mr. Andrew Norwell on that front five? A.J. Cann wasn't very good last year, and I think Cam Robinson needs to step up too. I think Linder is really good at center, though. Not a lot of people talk about him. He's pretty darn good in his own right, playing down there in Florida. All right, let's go to that full-on preseason schedule here. You got the Saints in Week 1, then the Vikings in Week 2, then you got the Falcons, whom I just talked about, and then they wrap things up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Week 4. So the top training camp storylines here for Jacksonville. It starts and it ends with Blake Bortles. Will he take that next step? He was so darn close in that AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots. Can you just visualize it, folks? Blake Bortles perhaps one day hoisting the Lombardi Trophy would be pretty insane. And of course, it's the age-old question. Is Blake Bortles a franchise quarterback? Last year, he was solid. 21 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. All Bortles has to do is simply be the reason the Jags don't lose. If that makes any sense. He doesn't necessarily have to be the guy that makes that big-time drive in the fourth quarter or anything like that. He just can't be the reason the Jaguars lose, and he just needs to manage the game, if you will. An Alex Smith kind of mentality here. It's just the reality of the situation for Blake Bortles. You don't want this guy throwing the football 45 to 50 times a game trying to carry your team back. The Jaguars hammer the football away. That's their identity on offense. That's how they play. Now, in terms of Blake Bortles, is he the Jaguars franchise quarterback? Here's my cop-out answer for you guys. I don't know, because I still think we need a little more time to really hash out a good answer, but be sure to let me know in comments. I do want to hear from you guys. All right, next up on the list, will Norwell emerge on that offensive line? My favorite free agent from the offseason, because you watch the tape on him, and he is the ultimate road grader, the ultimate pass protector, and the Jaguars got a good one. There's no doubt about it. And by the way, Jacksonville kind of emerged out of nowhere to get Norwell too. Everybody was talking about the Colts and the Giants that could perhaps sign this guy. No, the Jaguars come out of nowhere. As you see, Norwell graded out as the number 3 guard according to Pro Football Focus back in 2017. So you got Norwell at one guard slot. The other guard slot is going to be interesting. A.J. Cann versus Will Richardson. Cann had a Pro Football Focus grade of 52.5, which really isn't very good. Now, Richardson has some positional versatility as well. All right, so training camp storyline number 3 here. Lack of competition on the team. This is a pretty good problem to have if you're Jacksonville right now. I mean, you take a look at many spots on that defense, and I don't really have too many concerns. Maybe you look at slot corner with Aaron Colvin no longer there. I mentioned Richardson versus A.J. Cann at one guard slot, but that's all that I really have concerns with. I think Jacksonville is in a really good spot. All right, let's take a look at the regular season schedule here, and Jacksonville will kick things off against the New York Giants, then an interesting stretch. New England, Tennessee, then they take on the Jets in Week 4. Then they go to Arrowhead and then to AT&T to take on the Chiefs and the Cowboys respectively. Then you got the Texans and the Eagles. And I guess what you could say is one of the bad problems, if you will, with Jacksonville is that if they get behind to a team like the Patriots, to a team like the Chiefs that have firepower, I don't know if they can come back. So keep those games in mind. And then the second page of the board here at Indianapolis. Then you got the Steelers at home on Sunday night going for a third straight against Pittsburgh. Then Buffalo, the Colts, so a couple of softer games there. Then Tennessee, then Washington, at Miami, and at Houston. That Week 17 game is something to watch for because I think it could perhaps be for the AFC South. I think the South is going to be hotly contested this year. In terms of Super Bowl 53 odds, plus 2,200 for Jacksonville. My AFC South prediction, they finish second, right behind the Tennessee Titans. I have the Texans at third, and then, of course, the Colts dead last. Yes, the Jaguars will be in the Super Bowl conversation, but I think the Titans are really going to make a major step in 2018. And to be honest with you guys, I have more faith in Marcus Mariota and Derrick Henry and Dion Lewis collectively than Blake Bortles and Leonard Fournette. Don't at me. Now, where will the Jaguars finish in the AFC South? Let me know in comments. I want to hear from you guys. And while you're at it, be sure to like our page on Facebook. It's facebook.com/chatsports.